just try and give me something to frame up for Parks and Library. And because, like I say, they're not our funds, they're not our board. So could you give me a little bit more of what you want me to try and articulate to Parks, I guess, because I don't think I have a clear way there what you want me to ask them to try and do.
Does anybody have anything to offer? Did you understand the question from JD? He's looking for more specific direction about what kind of cuts we're expecting from Parks and Library.
So yesterday, you guys were real good about telling me, skin in the game, and you said have them kind of share the pain and all that. And so, like I say, Carol and I kind of said, okay, if everybody was using the same percentage, 5% would hit, and that was something I could defend to those autonomous boards. So that's where I came up with those numbers. But if you give me something a little clearer on what you want me to shoot for, I'm happy to go and articulate that to them.
Alderman Waldron.
Well, like we've said, this is a moving number, and it's a moving number for each department. So I don't know that you could go in there and say we need 5-10%. I think you need to work with them as much as you can to have them cut as much as they can, both library and parks, to contribute as well as they can and continue to do their core services. We need to determine what's core versus not core, and if it's not core, I guess that's where you go. That would be my input.
Yeah.
Alderman Witt.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, with the library, with Brian's explanation, I think through that conversation there were some things in there that were not core that they were doing, and so I think you need to have a conversation with them and say, hey, listen, we are in a crisis mode right here. This is the time we've got to figure out what our core, keep the body alive is that we need to do, and ask them. I mean, I have faith in our managers. They're professionals. They know what's going on, and if we are coming at this and we've got a number of 10 million, we know that's a big number, and they're going to be creative. They're going to figure out ways to do it. They know which staff and what positions need to be full-time now, which ones don't need to be full-time, and which ones are doing things that aren't core. And so I trust them and you to make the appropriate adjustments to meet that 10 million. And and if you wind up coming back and you go through the whole thing and you only got to 4.5 million, well, we know that there's more cutting to do. I doubt the first time you go through, you're going to wind up with $20 million and then have to go back to them and be like, oh, you get more back. But I think that I trust you and I trust them as professionals that they're going to have to make some tough decisions and then come back to us with that, rather than this kind of just random 5% thing. They know their organization better than we do.
Okay.
Well, and I think the 5% went away because it was 5% across the board, and we've already pulled some things out of context. But I would say the same thing. I mean, we could give you a number, JD, but it would be direction that is void of understanding the other restrictions you've got in the budget. So we already know that we have contractual obligations with the fire department for staffing. So we have more flexibility in other areas so that, they may not be able to give the same amount. Is that fair to say, you guys? I don't know. It's not that we don't want to answer your question. We just don't want to pigeonhole you unless you need an answer, and then we can throw something out there to start.
Nope. It's
same. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, JD, basically, if you're asking us to do it, we're going to come in and start hacking things like with machetes. I mean, we don't have the fine-tuned understanding. You guys need to go through with the scalpel and figure what really can be cut and can't. You're the professionals. You guys are full-time doing this. Looking to us to come in with the machete, I don't think is in the best interest of our departments or our community.
No, and I guess I want to make clear, I'm just looking, Parks and Library, I respect their autonomy, and I understand my role too, and I want to be diplomatic as I approach them because, they're not, those aren't my departments. and that, so I'm respectful of their role and my position with it. So I'm sure they'll let me at the table. They always have. Let me be part of their conversations and their effort. But you know, it's a little different than the rest of our departments that I have control over. So.
I just have a question for JD. This is Alderman Berg. So I'm sorry, JD, did you just say that it's Parks and Library is not your department?
They have those directors are hired by their autonomous boards, and so I advise them and give them guidance, and they use our Chapter 24 is their personnel code and things like that. But I'm not both the library director, and that works and that for their board, and the Parks and Recreation director works for their board.
Alderman Williams?
But JD, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can make them understand that if they're not willing to make the cuts that are needed to be made in deep cuts, that it's gonna affect them down the road, and ultimately all roads lead back here. Mm-hmm. So for them to shortchange or not be willing to make the cuts, when you present it to them, they realize what's going to happen.
Yeah, nope. And like I say, I was looking for some guidance, and I've got that. And like I say, the conversations I've had with them have been really positive.
Yeah, I'd hope they realize that.
Your Honor, this is Alderman Waldron.
Alderman Waldron.
To address Alderman Williams and I think JD touched on it earlier. I know, being a member of the Park Board, that we're aware of it already. So I see good cooperation coming from the Park Board. I can't speak for the Library Board, but I know the Park Board gets it, so to speak, and they realize that they're going to need a levy in 2021. And should they put their head in the sand, it's not going to help.
Okay.
Is there anything else, JD?
I got it.